All right, we are starting into section 6, and first thing we're going to do, I have a new Inkscape document open, and now I need to add a couple layers. So, I don't know why I did that, but let's keep that large. Okay, in layer 1, go ahead and select layer 1 and type in the word bitmaps. Then click the plus sign to add another layer called background. Above current is fine. And then add one more layer called foreground add. Next, I'm going to import a couple images from my section 6 folder. So you should be under, hopefully I have a Digital Arts 2 folder, Student Resources. If you don't already have this folder, you should have downloaded it during your course overview. So if you don't have it, go back into course overview, skip ahead to lesson 3, and download your Student Resources folder. So we're going to go into the section 6 folder and grab that castle, hit open, and then we're going to go and import this knight in shining armor and set those up on your page. And one thing I should point out, in this section we're working with proportions. So we did a little bit with proportion last class, Digital Arts 1, with the box and the building along the side of the road. So now we're going to be working with it again. So we'll go ahead and select this knight in shining armor guy. Then we're going to go up to path and trace bitmap. Now your text gives you a couple different options of how to trace this. You could either use your Bezier tool or this trace bitmap option. And I would assume most of you are going to use this trace bitmap option because the Bezier tool is a little difficult to use, and I've heard none of you are very big fans of it, so you might want to go the trace bitmap route. So go ahead and open up the trace bitmap option. And since our bitmap is just a red on white contrasting colors, we can say edge detection, update, and it shows us that nice preview there. And we can say OK. And close, and you'll see that, let me zoom in a little bit here, you'll see that my bitmap is now nicely traced. And we're going to actually go ahead and do those same steps for to get our other image traced as well. And at this point, before we forget, let's go ahead and save our project. Oops, Digital Arts 2, and we're going to call this proportion. I'm going to make another folder here and save. And something I just noticed is that we've been working on this foreground layer when, oops, and actually this should say bitmap. We should have been working on our bitmap layer. So let's go ahead and real quickly select everything. Control-C, Control-X to cut, and then paste in place onto our bitmap layer. That way everything's there. And now actually what we're going to do next is we're going to select our traced images. And I'm actually going to hold down Shift to select both of them at the same time. And Control-C, Control-X, go to our background layer, and go to paste in place. So now we have our traced images on our background layer and our bitmap images on our bitmap layer. And we go ahead and click on the eyeball of our bitmap to hide that layer. All right, so now we're going to work on scaling our images. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. Select your castle and then go up to Object and down to Transform. And your Transform panel opens up over here. And let's see, we want to go to the Scale tab. And we want to say a width of 200 and check the box that says scale proportionally, and that will keep our height and width proportional so that it's resized correctly. And then go ahead and hit apply, and you'll see our castle grow a little bit in size there. Now we'll grab our knight and horse, and with him selected we're going to say width of 50. And go ahead and hit apply, and that shrinks our horse down. And now with using our selection tool, we're going to adjust these images. We want the we want to move the two images so that the smaller image is lined up with the top half of the larger image. So for now, kind of like that. Looks good. So now let's go back to this larger image and set our width field to 25 and say apply. That makes it a little smaller. And then select our horse again and go back up and say 400 and apply. So what you're supposed to do is just kind of mess with the scale and size of these objects and then arrange them so that they look correct on the page. So I'm going to actually make my castle a little bigger, and I want it to look like it's out in the distance and this knight in shining armor guy is kind of looking up at it to go save the princess, or whatever story you have built up in your head. So I want my castle to be a little smaller and in the distance, and my knight coming forward. And so then on our layers panel, we can move those to the proper layers. So, because right now they're both in the background, and I actually just want my castle in the background, and I want to move my knight here to the foreground. I'm going to undo that and say it's in place that it was. So then I can adjust those without messing with the other one and make adjustments to that layer. So now the last thing we're going to do is just apply some color to each of these traced images. So go ahead and select your images and then apply whatever color you'd like. I just quickly made my castle gray and my knight and horse kind of a blue color. So once you've applied some color to those traced images, we're going to press Control A to select everything, or you can hold down Shift to select both images, and then go up to File, Export Bitmap, and Export. So then I'll want to save that one last time just to make sure. And when I go to submit this, you're going to want to include the proportion.svg file or the Inkscape file, and then also your proportion.png file or the bitmap that you just exported. So again, this was for assignment 6A, and 6B is pretty much the same thing, only you're going to import 3 different images. You're going again to use the Bezier tool or the trace bitmap option and trace out your images. That way you can then, you're going to apply color, you're going to adjust the scale using the transform option. And so very similar to assignment 6A, your assignment 6B just has 3 images. And again, you're going to trace them, apply color to them, and scale them and adjust them so that they look right on your page, and then export as a bitmap.